Welcome to Morning Glory Farmstead. My name is Lolly, and this channel is all about gardening, animals, and nature. We've got Buster, Bailey, and George taking up the whole couch, taking a nap. Every time I sit to elevate my legs, it is first come, first serve, and right now we've got Snugs. Y'all don't forget, go to the description box to get $10 off your GreenStalk orders by using my link and my code LOLLY10. Y'all, it's amazing to me how these chipmunks gather all the sunflower and safflower seeds every day like it's their last meal. I can't even imagine the stash they have and what in the world they're doing with it. Mags just woke up from a nap. All right, let's talk about the GreenStalks. As I was looking at them, it made me come up with an idea for my next experiment. You guys know I like to experiment, just see what happens, because I learn a lot that way. And sometimes you can come up with ways of doing things that are more effective or different than what you've done in the past. So as I'm looking at these leaves that have been chewed, I'm like, no, I'm not ready to go down that road already. You know, the whole fall and winter while I was growing greens, I had zero pests, you guys, other than my cats. I always said they had cat disease, but we just started the season and I've already got stuff eating things. By the way, that's a sunflower growing in there. I don't know if y'all remember me saying there was some kind of mystery plant growing in a few of the tiers. It had to have been a bird that put them in there. So I've got 2 or 3 sunflowers growing. Anyway, and this is the Hummingbird. For those of y'all that haven't seen my videos, this is a GreenStalk that I have wildflowers growing in just for the hummingbirds and the butterflies. And I put way too many seeds. I did not do 2 or 3 holes as GreenStalk says, just because I'm experimenting. I just kind of wanted to see how full it would get and would it do well this way. Here are my beans. So we've got lima beans, cow peas, I almost said baked beans. Butter beans. I'm not editing that out. That's funny. Y'all, we're about to have baked beans growing up in this GreenStalk. Anyway, and I've told y'all in the other videos there was a few pockets that didn't have anything that came up in them, so I'm going to plant something else in them. But most of them are looking pretty good. And these are my cherry tomatoes. They're looking pretty good. Y'all know I like to start these from seed. I think I've got at least 4 varieties of cherry tomatoes in here. I won't know till they all come up. Y'all know my labels got washed off even though it was permanent marker, so it's just going to be a surprise. And this last one is the GreenStalk that has the larger variety of tomatoes. I think I've got 3 of them in there, and then I've also got the strawberries on the top. And if y'all have watched my other videos, you know I've had a huge problem with something eating my strawberries as soon as there's any red on them. But you guys, there's not near as many in here today, and it's gotten really bad. You can see here there's not very many at all. And I know exactly what is eating them now. It's me! Y'all, I'm not going to let some critter come in here and take all these beautiful strawberries. I told you guys, these have such intense flavor and they are so yummy. So as soon as they start turning red, I am snatching them up. So there's not near as many right now, but I see a few on the back side and it looks like I'm about to have a snack again in a few minutes. Okay, back to my experiment. Y'all know I've been trying to wait on these to go to seed. I know those look like a hot mess, but to me, I see free seeds and I just keep waiting and they're just not quite there yet. But I'm going to try to find at least 4 tiers that I can use for the box stock. Y'all know I have one that I'm going to grow just for my chickens. It's going to be all greens. And I want to cover it with the GreenStalk insect cover. It's supposed to allow 80% of the light through, and it may prevent some pests because it's at least going to stop the ones that have to land on the leaves to actually lay their eggs. And we'll just see how it goes. If they don't turn out any better than the ones that aren't covered, then I'll just take the insect cover off. All right, let me talk about these window decals or stickers real quick. Y'all know I've been feeding birds for years, and birds running into windows is no joke. And because I have bird feeders fairly close to some of the windows, but also have the all glass sunroom, I've always had decals, and the ones that I've had for years were getting kind of bad, so I need to redo the ones on the sunroom, but I wanted to put some on this front kitchen window. So y'all remember I told you I have a tiny kitchen window on the front of the house. I have bigger windows on the back side, but this is all I've got on the front. But because I've chosen to put some bird feeders close to the window, I need to make sure that they're seeing those stickers and not the trees there in the reflection. When they see trees in the reflection, they will fly straight into the window. They cannot tell the difference, and so it's up to us to help them. And I have had birds fly into the windows in the past, even when there weren't feeders close to the window. So that's just part. They're looking around. They're busy during the springtime. They're trying to feed their babies and all of that. And so this is a problem everywhere, not just on my property. So you just got to be careful. Now, part of the title of this video is planting bird seeds, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. I wanted to show you these little bird houses that I got. I talked about these in the hummingbird feeder video when I was showing you some of the things that I was doing to attract hummingbirds. Now, I've had these houses before, but I think Xana, it might have been you, that said, you know, these were cheap, don't get them, they fall, they break, whatever. Now, I have not had that experience before, and I have had them in the past, but they were just really old, so I figured I needed to get some new ones. But because you said that, and because we know that they don't make things as high a quality anymore, I went ahead and took one of my fruit net bags, put it in there, and I put a little twisty tie around the top. And this is just to give it some extra support so that it doesn't fall off the hook. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it through the hook that comes with the house, but I'm also going to put it through the net. So it's going to have reinforcement. And I'm just cutting the hole out where the entrance to the house is. All right, so here's what it looks like. All I'm going to do is poke a tiny hole in the net, and I'm going to put the net and the house hook up there on that hook right there. So I've got both of them on there. I'm going to put them side by side. I've got the holes kind of facing out so that it'll be easier for the birds to get in and out. They may or may not use them. They may use them when it gets cold outside, just as a place to kind of hide out. And then I took this twig and I stuck it in the net at the bottom. And this is going to serve two purposes. Number one, if the hummingbirds want to perch on it, they can, even though I have two swings hanging next to the bird feeders. But also, it's going to keep those little houses from spinning. Those houses are super lightweight. They blow around. And by having that stick in between, that's just going to help make them a little bit more sturdy without adding too much weight so that it doesn't break the house. Now, you guys may also remember in the other hummingbird video that I showed you how to put together these solar water fountains for the hummingbirds. They can't take a bath in a regular bird bath. They're too deep, they're too big, they need something to sit on. And right now, this is looking like it's not doing much because it is super cloudy outside and this is solar. So as soon as these clouds move and give it just a little bit more sunshine, that water fountain is going to go really well. And I'm probably going to change and add a different tip on it so that it sprays a little bit more. But right now I'm just kind of getting my setup where I want it to be. I have been feeding hummingbirds a long time, but I told you guys I wanted to create something more intentional, kind of a safe haven, and just really create a fun space for them. And so that's what I'm doing here. And I've also brought two of my grow bags to the front that have the honeysuckle and the 4 o'clock so that when those flowers bloom, they're going to be right there with everything else that the hummingbirds need. You can see I've got the swings there on the other hook opposite of the hummingbird feeders. Okay, let's talk about planting bird seeds. It may have been a little bit misleading saying that. I want to plant the seed about birds. So technically, that is planting bird seeds. Anyway, it's more of a mental thing. A lot of people think that feeding birds is for a certain type of person or someone who's retired or someone who doesn't have a life, and that is the farthest from the truth. It is super satisfying. You know what's funny? Here's the analogy that I think of in my brain. When you watch birds on TV, I mean, sometimes it's fascinating, but a lot of times it's not as fascinating as having them in your own yard. It's kind of like people think their kids are the cutest kids in the whole world. I mean, most parents think that about their children. They are the most precious. They are the cutest kids in the whole world. They could watch them all day when they're like 1 and 2 and they're playing and they're learning things, right? And other people may not be as interested in watching your kids as you are. It's the same thing with birds. It is much more interesting to get your own birds than it is to watch them on TV. I could sit here all day long and watch a hummingbird on TV, and it's not near as fascinating as watching it out my window. Y'all look at this footage. I put this out there last night, and this morning I had a male and a female already eating. This is the female. And this is literally 2 feet from my window, if that. I got the male for just a few seconds. Now he has something around his neck, so you'll notice he looks different, and he actually sits on the feeder. So she's not sitting yet, but he will sit, and I'll get more footage of him next time. But I had to leave and go to church this morning, so I wasn't able to get it. But anyway, this is much more fascinating to look out your window and have a different view every single time you come to your window. You can do window feeders. You can do them all over your yard. You can do them in one little section. There's the male right there. It's also like for most gardeners, they would rather enjoy lettuce that they've grown themselves than something that they buy at the store. There's that satisfaction of eating what you've grown. And it's the same thing here. It's much more satisfying to watch the birds that you're feeding right outside your windows. The reason I'm showing you this kitchen window setup is because you don't have to have a lot of room. When I come to the kitchen sink or I just walk by this window, I see something different every single time. I have at least 40 different types of birds that I feed, and they're all over these feeders all day. It is refreshing. It's bright. It's cheery. You're doing the birds a favor. I mean, there are so many bonuses to this, and they almost become kind of like your family. I mean, if you want, just start small. Get one feeder. I never, ever, ever thought that I would really love feeding birds. I just stuck one on my window one time and tried it out when I lived in a townhome, and that was it. I did not even know that so many types of birds existed. I didn't know that I would enjoy it, and it is absolutely so satisfying and fulfilling, you guys. So I just wanted to plant that thought in your mind that even if you've never fed birds and you think you are absolutely disinterested, I just want to encourage you to try it anyway and just see if you have a change of heart about that. And during the winter, when you don't have any flowers and things are cold and it's all brown and the grass isn't green anymore, you guys will find that you bring a whole slew of different birds that come during the winter, and they have some super vibrant colors. And you guys, don't forget, cats love to watch the birds just as much as humans. And so if you can set up one little pole and a feeder outside of a window that your cats like to sit at, that's fantastic. And just make sure you put things where you're going to see it the majority of the time, because although it's wonderful to feed the birds and do them the favor of providing food, it's even better when you get the enjoyment of watching it either all day long if you're at home, or when you get home from work, or early in the morning. You guys, leave some comments below. Are you guys already feeding birds? Is it something you might think about doing? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. I'll see you real soon in the next video. And until then, y'all have a great couple of days. Bye-bye.